Hi there everybody and welcome to Shady Entertaining. Well, I've been planning on doing this video for a while now, and it's kind of gotten, there's been a lot of news and a lot of interruptions and stuff, and I don't think the appetite was there, to be quite honest, from Star Wars fans. I think the PTSD was strong in this movie. I think it's taken a while for people to move along, right? Move on. I'm one of them that it's just every time I read some new article on the news, I just, I'm just gonna I go off and I'm just like, what the frick, what does JJ say now? They're stealing Star Wars posters, what the, it's just one endless debacle after the next. So, yeah, and sometimes you gotta take a break from Star Wars, because then you just won't sleep. You just be, like I said before, having nightmares about Kathleen Kennedy in the sewers, Georgie, Shady. So basically, a while back, I started something called the rebooting of the franchise, where I discussed how we can make Star Wars better. Going forward, what they could do to improve it. I mean, I know that a lot of people are kind of still on the fence of, we don't want to make it better, we just want it to go away and die, right? And I don't know if that's accurate. I think it's just an emotional response. Because I think we all, if we are this angry and this annoyed, it's because we love Star Wars, right? We don't want it to die, we want it to be good. I think that's really the thing, is that we get carried away with anger sometimes, and we just want to kick and scream, and we forget that it's about making a good movie, and we just want these people to pay. It's about revenge. It's a revenge story. That's what it is. We start getting on. I'm one of them. Revenge of the Star Wars fans is going to be in the next movie. So yeah, so here we are now, kind of left going with the Solo movie coming out soon, and them announcing, the episode 9, but I think most of us are kind of dubious, right? We're sitting there going, no, I don't see how they're going to fix this. I don't see how they're going to fix this, right? And so I had proposed a while back a way that I wanted to redo this if you were to reboot it, because I think that's what needs to be done, is an entire reboot to the entire franchise. I think it's already finished. I don't think it can go any further from here. I've already said it. I mean, even if they did, it would be contrived. It would seem forced. Retcon. He had to look up retcon for this video. Retcon this thing, and just fix Luke Skywalker's now Force Ghost. Everybody, are you happy? No, no one's gonna be happy with that. Even if they bring back Snoke or make Rey less of a Mary Sue and give her parents. Now Kylo Ren was lying, and suddenly Rey is the granddaughter of Obi-Wan, right? And now everyone's gonna be like, oh, see, I knew something was up there, but in the end, I think it's gonna run hollow. You know what I mean? Because it just feels like, I don't even care what they do to it. It just seems like whatever they're gonna do is gonna seem like contrived nonsense. And if they don't do it, like if they fix it, it's gonna feel like a patch job. And I don't think it's gonna fix the characters that we really are offended by. They did wrong by Phasma, they did wrong by Finn, they did wrong by a lot of characters in this. But they really, really, really did wrong by Luke Skywalker and Leia and Han Solo. Don't forget, that's a trap! They did wrong by a lot of the old characters. And I don't think there's very much they could do to fix that. How are you going to fix Luke Skywalker brandishing a lightsaber over his sleeping nephew's bed? You know what I mean? How are you going to fix that? You can't fix that unless, I heard somebody say, it was his Finn's nightmare when he was in a coma. If they did do that, just think about how stupid that would be. So it's like it's a no-win situation. I say just reboot it, man. Forget all this trying to fix. There's nothing to fix. The best you can do is reboot. Start from scratch. Say, hey, this is the press conference you've all been waiting for, right? We're gonna reboot this sucker. Leave it to Mickey to fill in your hearts. Is that all good? Is that all right? Is everybody gonna shut up now? Can buy my toys now? Can you please buy some damn toys in China? Will you forgive us? Right? That's the only way that I could see this happening. And so that's why I want to do this. Now let's be honest, guys. They're gonna talk us smack and say, well, you guys can make it wherever you want. That's just not canon. And I say this to you thusly. It is not canon, you say? Canon? Well, my friend, canon is whatever we dictate it to be. Not you. I see, this is this misnomer about what is canon. You think that just because somebody owns a property and they can just say this is canon and now you're supposed to believe it? Right? Just think about it. So let's just say Walt Disney, in their infinite wisdom, decided to say, guys, now the original 3 movies, A New Hope, Return of the Jedi, and Empire Strikes Back, Those movies are no longer canon, everyone. Are we just supposed to sit here and go, you know? Are we supposed to sit there and go, okay, you know what I mean? There's got to be a limit to what they can say is canon and not canon. You can't just say, oh, by the way, George Lucas's old original 3, no longer canon. Can they do that? I mean, they could probably say it. They could probably make it official if they wanted to. We would reject it instantly and be like, oh yeah, I got something for you. You know? That's what we would do. We wouldn't accept that. Are you kidding me? We would go freaking nuts. So who's got the power for canon? It's the fans. Listen, the artist made the creation. The artist created it. The artist wrote it, and they put it out there. They can have it, and it can sit in their basement for the rest of their life. This wonderful piece of art that they love. If we don't accept it as part of the community, as part of as part of our culture, it's just gonna be a piece of art sitting in a basement, right? Or a shelf somewhere. It wouldn't be accepted by culture, and therefore we'd ignore it. Then it becomes canon. Wonderful that it's sitting in someone's basement and it's all canon. In the end, what I'm trying to say, guys, in this very long-winded way, is that we, you and me, the audience, the buyers, the consumers, the people who accept it into our lives, the people who've made it part of our culture, we are the ones who decide whether or not we want it to be canon, right? Because if we don't accept it, then it's not canon. And so this is what I'm trying to say is, we're sitting here hoping that somehow Disney decides to smarten up, throw out a press conference, fire the Three Stooges, you know, and then bring in a whole new team and do some new writing and all that stuff and fix it, right? Which is what we're kind of hoping. But in the end, even if JJ does want to appease the fans, even if they just come out with a straight up interesting, fun movie, it's pretty much hard to fix what they damaged. They have no choice. You gotta reboot. That's the only way I can see. Rebooting the entire thing. Okay, guys, so I'm done on my rant about canon. So you get what I'm trying to say? You and I have to accept what's canon. And so here's what I propose. So I started this series before about me going back and fixing some characters, right? And we should do like Marvel did and give the 3 main characters, Ray Poe, Finn, get Ray Poe and Finn their own movies, right? So this way we could do them right. You know, we don't have to call it Star Wars yet, right? We can call these a Star Wars story. So instead of going into Han Solo and Jabba the Hutt, we don't want to hear a whole movie of that, right? So instead of doing the Jabba the Hutt movie and all that stuff, let's do right by the future and then do right by the past in the process. And this is us telling them, hear me out, saying, hello Walt Disney, this is Shaney Entertaining and his band of very pissed off Star Wars fans. We say to you thusly, your movies you just came out with, the Force Awakens and all them, guess what? No longer canon. No soup for you. You're out. You know, pick up your stuff and get out. We took your gerb. Why are we telling them that? Because we say, we're no longer going to buy your crap, we're no longer going to watch it. You can sit there and have your movie sitting on the shelf for as long as you want. But we're not going to tolerate that crap unless you reboot it and do it right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I said to reboot the franchise, and I said to give each one individually their own movie, a la Marvel. I like Marvel's style, man. I like how they do it. They give them movies, you get into the character, you get who they are, and then when you finally unite the characters together, it makes it that much more special. Then when they unite, it could become Star Wars. You could still have, well, now Leia's dead. You can't have Leia in it anymore unless you do CGI, which is a frickin' shame. I mean, that's still going to be a problem going forward, is the whole, is Leia going to be in it, and, you know, Han won't be in it anymore because Harrison Ford wants nothing to do with it, so we're going to have to find a way to do it without them, and it's really sad and unfortunate, but that's the way it goes. Maybe we could CGI a scene or two here and there, just sort of as a cameo appearances, but that's pretty much all I think I have the stomach for. But at least we still have Mark Hamill, and Mark Hamill, he's taking a beating, and hopefully he can forgive and forget and move along, and I think he, it seems like he cares enough about us and the fans and the franchise to want to redo it and do it right, because he doesn't want Jake Skywalker to live in infamy forever, so I'm pretty sure he wants Luke back.
We don't want his Lukes to have titty milkses.
We just want him to sort of be back to the good old farm boy he used to be. So now that we're rebooting it, we've decided to reboot it. I already did, you can check out the video, I already did one of Rey. Which is I'm going to put a link somewhere, or maybe in the bottom afterwards. And there's another one, there was one I did of Poe. Who's left to go? Well, there's really just these two left to go in the series. Now, reason why I don't want to redo all the characters is because we already know these characters. I like them. Like Finn, for me, was my favorite character in the Force Awakens, and I just thought they did him wrong, man. They did him wrong in the, well, not just him. They did a bunch of people wrong in The Last Jedi, but figured I really thought that out of all the people, and that's the funny part about their little PC messages, is like their one lone black character that they have again. You know, their token black guy, which they seem to forget doing all the SJ, you know, through all their lovely feminist messages, they forget about racism. It's still a thing. And so they bring out, you know, their token black guy and they turn him back into a coward again. After he already passed that arc in The Force Awakens. Remember, he was a coward and then he fought through that to face Kylo Ren with the lightsaber at the end to prove that he was no longer a coward anymore, ready to run, and you know, and then the first thing he does is he wants to run away again. Like, where's Rey? Where's Rey? Like, come on, man. Horribly realized character he became. Without further ado, guys, I'm going to introduce to you Finn, a Star Wars story. So how are we going to reboot this franchise? The way I rebooted it the last time, as you can remember, I did the DeLorean, you know, the credits roll, the screen would roll, and then the DeLorean came through the screen, and then, Doc! Marty, we gotta go back in time to stop Rian Johnson from ruining Star Wars! Wow, this is heavy, right? We did that. But I don't want to do that. We'll do that different one this time. Okay, so here it is. Beginning crawl, right? The Star Wars crawl that you normally see. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 right? And then the movie starts where the Last Jedi ended, and that's Luke gazing out into the sky. You know, he's starting to fade, and the sky is the sunset is coming down, and suddenly, dun dun dun, dun dun dun, lightning strikes as he's about to fade, and then suddenly you hear, Luke Skywalker, you will come with me if you want to live. Looks at the Terminator and he grabs his hand, and suddenly his fading stops and he becomes solid again, and then lightning comes, and then the new crawl comes out. Dun, dun, the reboot. Alright, that's how we're rebooting it, right? So Terminator comes and he's gonna save the day. Hey Rian Johnson, remember when I told you I'd kill you last? I lied. Hasta la vista, Kennedy. He just goes nuts on Lucasfilm. Drive the truck right through the window. How about I put an X on your face, Mickey? Hey, Hidalgo, or whatever the hell your name is. Geraldo Hidalgo, I don't care. Alright, so let's start the story, guys. Alright, so the opening crawl comes down, and you know, little Flanders music for you. Now we're gonna start with Finn when he's a little child, because I think the only way to do Finn properly is to see how Finn became a stormtrooper, right? And it's gonna start kind of in a way that's like impactful. So we're gonna start the story with him as a little child, in his family, in a planet, in a galaxy far, far away. This opening sequence is him playing outside with the ball and his friends, you know, and he's got this best buddy of his, and they're little kids. They're little kids at the time, I think about 4 years old maybe, and they're almost like brothers, but they're not brothers. They're best buds. And they play together, and they sing together, and they got all, you know, they do all the joyful good feelings together, and makes them best buds, and their mothers are close. So now you have this ship, the ship that comes down, and it's part of the Knights of Ren. Now here's the thing, I'm going to talk about the Knights of Ren, because we've kind of forgot that the Knights of Ren existed. When I saw the pictures of the Knights of Ren, and I saw this lightsaber, I always assumed that they were sort of like the Knights Templar. You know what I mean? Like, they kind of felt like they were, like, I always thought J.J. Abrams was headed in the direction that they were the sort of the Knights Templar, in the fact that they were like, they had an obsession with the Empire, you know, in the way that the Knights Templar had a fascination with the Romans and Christianity. You know, like the Knights Templar, and through history, they were knights of Christendom that were there to defend Christendom and whatever, but also they were there as 9 knights to to bring back the holy relics of Christianity, right? And so I always kind of thought that that was what the Knights of Ren were supposed to do. They were kind of turning what the Emperor Palpatine did and making him into like some sort of deity, and Darth Vader into a deity, and they were kind of like almost following their legends as in a religious dogma, led by Snoke, who was also kind of like the Pope of the new religion. This is what I thought it was. Okay, you guys think of whatever you wanted. What I thought was he was kind of like the Pope of the new religion, and he brought together his Knights Templar, the Knights of Ren, to recapture obviously the old empire, and using Darth Vader as a symbol and Palpatine as a symbol of this new religion. What the Knights of Ren were there to do was to go out and like the Knights Templar, bring back the old relics that belonged to the Empire, right? So where did these relics of the old war go? And that's kind of what the Knights of Ren are there to do. They're there to recruit Jedi, number one, to make their empire bigger and stronger. But number two, they're there to get the old relics. And by old relics, I'm talking about stuff like Darth Vader's mask, Luke Skywalker and Anakin's lightsaber, right? We're going to get into that, sort of how that happened. Palpatine's robe, who knows? Anything that you could think of. Even going back like into the old Republic, maybe we can even find Master Windu's purple lightsaber. And that's what I always thought they were. They were just trying to, they were like the Knights Templar, just trying to defend the new religion, and then at the same time as they're defending the new religion, they're recruiting and they're bringing back the old relics, right? So the movie starts off with kids playing, like I said, and then all of a sudden a ship comes down and the Knights of Ren come out. And the Knights of Ren in this does not include Kylo Ren, who is not part of the Knights of Ren yet. He's still a child. Finn and him are about the same age, so obviously he's still a child, and we're going to get to his story in due time. But this is Finn's story. So the Knights of Ren come down, and led with a bunch of stormtrooper-looking dudes, and they bring terror into this community, and they shoot a bunch of people. And what are they to do? They're there to harvest kids. They're there to grab all the kids they can from these community. Finn and his best friend are part of them. They kill the parents. It's this big horrendous scene, and it's very powerful and very emotional, and just, they burn, whatever. There's this emotional scene where Finn is just grabbing onto his mother's hand, and then, Stormtrooper kicks his mother, and just, and you see the hand just, and then they carry off a crying Finn and his best friend. We call him Fo, Finn Fo, Finn Fu. His friend is being named Fu from now on. Finn and Fu. So he carries him and his friend off and takes him to the ship. And amongst other kids, not just those kids, but a group of kids. And because they're going to be the ones that are being groomed, beaten, slapped, pushed, and trained to become stormtroopers, right? So now we're going to fast forward again, maybe 10 years into the future, when Finn is now a teenager. And we're going to see part of his training. And that's when Phasma comes in, because Phasma is part of the training process. And that's where we're going to see and know more about Phasma and who she is, why we want to hate her, right? And we realize how good she is. And we see a whole training sequence between her and him. Not just one sequence, but a bunch of training. Like, it's almost like one of those army movies where they just like, yes sir, no sir, slap, electrocute, to get him with a little stick to get him to do the right thing. A lot of punishment, a lot of brainwashing is what she's there to do to Finn and Fu and all the other little kids that they brought, right? And so we see this, and we see the emotional bond that these two have, because they stay kind of bunking together, and Finn and Fu, they have this emotional tie. And so now they also have a rivalry too. Here's another thing. You have this emotional tie, but they also have a rivalry. Finn is not exactly as acute as his friend is at marksmanship and all that stuff. They have this rivalry and like trying to one-up each other constantly. And it's a push, it's encouraged by Phasma, who's there to make sure that they gets the most out of them. You can have a whole sequence, a scene where they're together and talking about the old days and what and how to escape sometimes, and that's sort of just to kind of reinforce the strength in their bond. So then we're gonna go again, boom, fast forward into now a little bit into the future. They're now in the maybe early 20s, late teens, early 20s. And now Finn looks like Finn. He's no longer being played by some actor that's a little younger but looks like Finn. So now Finn is fully formed, fully grown looking. They don't have like a full stormtrooper outfit yet, but they kind of have like a training stormtrooper outfit, if there is such a thing. And now they're going to go on their first mission to prove themselves. This is where the stormtrooper becomes a stormtrooper, and they got to prove who they are and on all that stuff, right? So now at this stage, Kylo Ren is part of the Knights of Ren. Now we could go into a whole thing about Kylo Ren, but we're going to do Kylo Ren's story another time. But Kylo Ren now is the leader of the Knights of Ren. So basically there was some information that was passed down that they found. And I was thinking about this inside information coming from Lando Calrissian, and I thought that would be like a small cameo appearance by Billy D and Lando. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, you know, I know what the device you said. I got one right here, you know, whatever. He's telling them the inside information that he's getting. Maybe Billy D. Williams is being in hornswoggled, and the fact that they have some guy who's like pretending not to be part of the Knights of Ren. You know, he's just sort of like, you know, playing like the in-between guy or whatever. And so he's just communicating with him, and so that's how they're getting their information. Because he runs the Cloud City, remember? So they locate Anakin's lightsaber. So now that's the first mission, right? So Finn and Fu, I think Fu was his name, Fu? Finn and his best bud, led by Phasma. And Phasma leads her team of new recruits, commanded by the Knights, to find Anakin's lightsaber. And they go to Cloud City, they get there, and they do like they always did. They come down with guns a-blazing, and, you know, and Lando is there, and he's like, oh, there we go again, you know, all upset that he's being screwed over by the Empire the second time, well, this new Empire this time. You know, so Lando maybe escapes, but before he goes, you know, you catch him talking to somebody, and then it's a little person. You know who he's talking to. It's just this little guy, this little person, and then you see who he's talking to, and you find out as the camera pans around that he's talking to Maz Kanata. That's right, everybody. Maz Kanata's in this. How is she in this? Because Maz Kanata in this version of Star Wars that I'm doing is she's starting off as a relic hunter, and she's there to preserve. She's going to be the Indiana Jones of this thing. Yes, before she runs her bar, before she does all that, she is kind of a treasure hunter. I was thinking of her having this really cool mech suit that she walks around in. I don't know why, because I love mech suits, and I just figured it'd be kind of sick to have her in this awesome, because she's little, and it'd be kind of cool if she had this like technology that somehow she found through her connections or whatever, and she has this giant mech suit that she pilots, and it just opens up and she comes out of it. So you see Lando, you know, before he escapes into escape pod, hands Maz Kanata Anakin's lightsaber, right? And then she takes off. She takes off with it. And, you know, Phasma and them try to chase her down, and now this whole battle kind of between the Knights of Ren Imperial's troopers and Maz Kanata and her mech, you know, and she's backing away in this really cool action sequence with her in this awesome mech, and them Finn and them fighting to, you know, they're trying to remember, this is Finn's trial. They have to get this thing in order to become fully fledged stormtroopers. If they don't succeed in their trial, right, they don't become full-fledged stormtroopers, because this is what they're there to do, right? And Phasma's there shooting, and boom, but they fail, and she escapes because her mech transforms and takes off, and then she takes off in some other ship. Now, she escapes with her mech, and they are left empty-handed and angry and pissed off, right? So now they come back to the Imperials. They go back to Snoke and the Imperial ship. You know, of course, Kylo Ren throws a hissy fit as he always does. Because he wanted that sword bad. I mean, it's his grandfather's sword, and he really wanted it. That's the history of that, right? And now Finn and his best friend, they are punished because they failed in their mission, right? She punishes them. She relegates Finn to kind of clean up duty at this point, and the same thing with them. But no, they get a chance. You know, Finn actually wants to prove himself at this point, and so he's really, and he begs Phasma for a second chance. And Phasma says, fine, I'll give you another chance, but fail me again, and, you know, you'll be relegated to garbage detail. And now we know where that comes into play. So now Phasma and they get a second chance, because there's another insider information coming down the pipe. They go on their second mission to Endor, because the end of how the Return of the Jedi ended, right? So it makes sense for his mask, Darth Vader's mask, melted to be on Endor, because that's where they burned him, right? And so that's how he ends up. So they go to Endor. And at the same time, Maz Kanata is also, you're seeing her, and she's getting the same kind of information. And so now there's a race to get to this mask between Maz Kanata and her mech. And Finn and Phasma, and this time Kylo Ren goes with them because he wants to see the mask for himself, and he wants to make sure that this time everything goes smoothly. So they land on the shelf, you see on Endor, and you have all the the Ewoks there, and then Finn and them, they talk to the Ewoks. But they realize that Maz Kanata beat them there, right? And Maz Kanata already has the inside information because she already spoke to the Ewoks, and because she had her mech, and we all know, remember how Ewoks, they appreciate mechs and what they did with C-3PO, remember? Or he was the god, the gold god. Well, the mech, because Maz Kanata came out of the mech, they thought that she was a god too, and so the Ewoks gave her the inside map to the treasure. Well, the Ewoks aren't very cooperative, and of course they're evil, so they start slaughtering. I don't. It's a children's movie, guys. They start slaughtering Ewoks.
Yum.
Force choking. But you should start seeing where after this. Where Finn starts to change, because Finn always was kind of raised, and this is where I forgot to say, Finn was kind of raised to believe that they were good guys, right? So this is the thing. This is where his story arc starts to shift, because he was kind of blinded with his competition with his best friend, and to try to get to the high ranks of being a stormtrooper. They were always kind of told that they were doing God's work, that they were doing the work of the Lord, and work, and sort of in a manner of speaking, right? We're not getting into religion, but I'm just saying, because of the Knights of Ren, they believe that Palpatine is kind of a god in their eyes. So we're kind of going in that direction. So basically saying that he thought he was doing the work of the good guys, right? And that they were, that's what they were there to do, right? And up until this point, all he ever did was just go hunting for treasures, right? And so he kind of thought it was fun. But this is where it starts to get a little different, because he starts seeing the treatment of the Ewoks, and he starts to doubt now what he's doing. And this is where the first moment of doubt in what he's doing and where he belongs comes from. His best friend, though, doesn't. His best friend is still stuck on this whole gotta be the best, gotta make to high the ranks of being a stormtrooper. So his brother has more enthusiasm when it comes to smacking around Ewoks than he does, or his best friend does. But they're like brothers at this point. So they go and they get information, they get it forcefully, they force the information out of them, and they now travel to this cave or cavern place where it's being hidden, or where it was formed, where they dumped all the ashes or whatever. And as they get there, they see, obviously, Maz Kanata's already there. Now, Kylo Ren's not having any of this, right? So Kylo Ren, checked him. Phasma then tells his boys to go get him, because that's their second chance. So now you have Maz Kanata and Finn and his friend fighting the mech of Maz Kanata's mech. They're actually they're holding their own. They got the things and they're battling, and they're really doing a good job holding on to the mech. Now, Maz Kanata's starting to see that this isn't going her way, so she kind of ejects out of her mech and puts it on droid mode, and they're now left fighting the thing while Maz Kanata kind of escapes, because she's a Weasley little one, and she takes off in her rocket pack, going away, with the mask, and they're left fighting the mech, because the mech won't stop fighting even though Maz Kanata escaped. She's escaping! And now Phasma now goes and chases after Maz Kanata. She then has a rocket pack. She now is more badass than she was, and she starts chasing. And there's this cool rocket pack sequence, kind of like in Return of the Jedi with the bikes, only this is rocket pack and they're going through the trees of Endor. Eventually what ends up happening is she ends up actually winning and knocking Maz Kanata flying into the ground. And then Maz Kanata, she does escape, because with the help of some Ewoks that were there, and they helped her to find some hidden tunnels, and Maz Kanata escapes. Phasma brings back the mask for Kylo Ren, and now you have Finn, who laid the final blow to the mech, and his friend is actually now all cut up and scarred, and they actually succeeded in their mission, and so now they rise to the ranks. Now the thing is at this point, because of the full fact that she witnessed the Ewoks helping Maz Kanata, she goes and tries to slaughter the rest of the Ewoks as much as she can, because Kylo Ren's a little bitch, and he just, how dare they oppose us, and so he orders Finn to destroy the Ewoks. And Finn, that's his final test. or his best friend, he has no problem. He goes there and says, we gotta do this. We gotta be the best, and that's what we gotta do. Finn then says to his friend, no, you can't do this. This is wrong. We can't do this. And so Finn refuses to, and he kind of passes out and starts, you know, puking. He's in this whole moment where he can't do it. And this is kind of where he starts getting afraid. Phasma then gives him a smack. You know, get away from here, you know, whatever, you coward. And he slaps Finn. But his friend does it. His friend actually succeeds. Now his friend does get to the rank of Stormtrooper, head Stormtrooper. Whereas Finn, because he didn't follow the orders, he actually gets relegated to, yes, we call garbage duty, unfortunately for Finn. But, you know, so that's how that ends. That's how Kylo Ren gets his mask. That's how she and him have their feud that starts from that moment on. And also, remember in the beginning of The Force Awakens, remember that the Stormtrooper that died, that reached up to Finn and grabbed his face and then put the blood with the red marks on his face? That's his best friend, right? That's what sets him off. That was the catalyst. That was it. His best friend is gone. His rival, his brother since he was a child. That's the one that makes him hyperventilate. That's the reason. That was the catalyst that made him want to leave. You had to have something strong enough. So it had to be more than just one instance. It had to have been a whole group of instances, but something that culminates into something that really hits home for him in a personal manner. And that's when Finn, he decides, that's it for me. I'm leaving the First Order. I'm getting out of here, and I gotta escape. And that's what he does. He escapes. And so the end of the movie starts where he escapes, and boom, into the beginning of the next movie, which will be The Force Awakens, but that won't be The Force Awakens. We're rebooting The Force Awakens. So that's my movie, guys. That's the Finn story. See, in that story we figured out who the Knights of Ren are. In that story we figured out Captain Phasma's backstory, where Anakin and Luke Skywalker's lightsaber came from. And we found out in that story also where they got the mask. Finn and the guy with the red face, the thing, all that stuff comes now into play. And there's his story now, and then we move and continue on to the first Star Wars. But not before we do his story, because we still have his story left to go. So what do you guys think, guys? Was that better? Did you like that story? You guys can accept me as canon from now on, right? Shaney, we're accepting you as official canon of Star Wars. Well, in my heart, this is official canon, so I don't care what anybody else thinks. Anyway, guys, so that's it. That's my story. You can tell me what you thought. Do you like it? Do you have improvements? What would you do differently? Do you have any ideas for Kylo Ren's story? I mean, I know a lot of you guys are still kind of like, a lot of you really aren't feeling this whole reboot thing and screw it all together. But I mean, let's be honest, we do like Star Wars. If we didn't like Star Wars, we wouldn't be so angry. And we do want to see good movies, right? We do want to see going forward something good done. And our heroes and beloved people done properly. And so I'm trying my best, in my way, to give them ideas so that they can subvert our expectations in the next movie. Anyway, guys, that's the Finn story, and that's official canon about my books. Anyway, so thank you guys so much. Don't forget to subscribe, like, hit the dingy bell and the thingy on the side so you get the chime every time I release another video. Share with your friends and all that good stuff, right? Anyway, see you later, and may the Force be with you.